you all. I've stalked you all on the internet for years.
Well, likewise, we've also seen you as well, you know. We get fed a lot of Harry Potter content, at least I do. So yeah, it's nice to meet you. We didn't actually introduce ourselves backstage at all, so I think we should just kind of go through and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, that works for me.
My name's Brian. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Joe. You're M? Hi, M.
Hi, my name's Meredith.
Hi, I'm Corey.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lynn.
Hey, I'm also Joe. There's a few of us named Joe.
I'm Clark.
This is the weirdest AA meeting I've ever been to. So, for anybody that maybe isn't a StarKid fan in the room, which, like, why aren't you? How would you explain StarKid to a Victorian orphan?
Do you want some bread?
Yeah. Imagine your worst nightmare of the future come true.
We go.
You first have to explain the
We got these days of sun. And they start crying.
Because they've never known the sweet taste of summer.
They've never seen the sun with the blotted out skies.
So this, no, I was gonna say this actually is a thing in real life. We don't know how to describe ourselves to people. Our theater company. What would you say? I don't know.
How would you describe StarKid to your parents?
Thank you for coming to our focus group. So we're just going to ask, you expressed an interest in Harry Potter and musical theater, so I just want to ask a few sort of questions to sort of see where you land with good things. We usually describe ourselves as a comedic musical theater company, and basically, when YouTube was a little baby, we put out a parody musical called A Harry Potter Musical. Thank you, yes. And that is why we're here. And because of that reaction, we did 2 more parody Harry Potter musicals. One which we did at LeakyCon in Chicago in 2012. Yeah, Harry Potter senior year. Yeah, woo!
It's 5 hours long.
And it was 5 hours long. Some people still have to pee from that event.
So, I mean, I've been a huge fan. You guys are actually the reason that I watched Harry Potter in the first place. I never read the books as a kid, still haven't read them.
Oh my gosh, Jamie neither.
We have so much in common. And someone showed me a Harry Potter musical and I was like, this is hilarious, but I don't get it. So I watched Harry Potter and then I was like, no, I like the musical better. So how did you all get involved in StarKid? And how would one per se get involved in StarKid? Asking for a friend, of course.
Corey, I saw you reaching.
I could put rumors out there. I don't want to do.
Well, we all, through the total randomness of life, went to school together.
I was gonna say you gotta go to Michigan.
That was it. So what you're gonna have to do is find a time machine. You're gonna have to apply to the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the theater program. You can just sort of anywhere in the School of Music hover around and maybe get in there.
That's what Jim Pablo did.
That's what I was thinking of. You should college.
So yeah, we were just all classmates basically for the most part, and kind of came together through. Before we did a Harry Potter musical, we did a couple of other comedic shows together, and we had this thing at school called Basement Arts, which was all the student-run things, and so all the student productions. Some of the ones we did were like The Hobbit. We did Lord of the Rings. I played Aragorn. You played Boromir. It was pretty fun. Jamie played Elrond in that. Jamie also didn't read the Lord of the Rings book series, so Jamie shows up to be in the shows, and that's it. Meredith did a live version of a Goofy movie, which was at the time the most popular event that happened in our basement art sort of like career at the time that we were there. So there was a lot of stuff like that happening. So these sort of adaptations were pretty natural, and we did the Harry Potter thing, and then it just kept kind of coalescing from there. We moved to Chicago, and then now it's LA based for the most part. Yeah. So I think living in LA, being a musical theater person, maybe.
Yeah, and at this point, there's people that get picked up that have kind of been in shows with StarKid members, and we go see them in shows and think that they'd be a good fit. And then Nick reaches out and brings them in.
You have to catch Nick's eye.
Yeah, that's a good thing as well. Yeah. I mean, Mariah Rose Faith Casillas was in a show with you, right, Jaime?
Yeah, Angela and Mariah.
Yeah.
I did shows with outside of it. And I actually remember Nick writing to Nick, and I was like, there's this girl, Angela. She's funny. You should know her.
So, kind of through that, and like Curt Mega is now in the group, and he knew Darren through Glee and stuff like that. So, get into Glee. That's on here. That's our biggest recommendation. Yeah.
Did you guys think it was going to take off like it did? Because
Yes.
it like caught. Absolutely. Self-assured king.
Yeah, we pretty much knew it was going to be a big deal. No, I mean, it was very exciting the weekend that it happened. I wasn't in the first one, but I helped to write it. So, I mean, Jaime, Joe, do you guys want to speak on, and Joe, do you want to speak on what it was like that first weekend and kind of the audience reaction?
I think definitely, I had seen the Lord of the Rings parodies and Goofy movie and just wanted to be a part of whatever it was, just so that we could all hang out our last year. And it obviously was like unexpected that so many people showed up in the theater. And I kept like not wanting to do the shows. I don't know if you guys remember, but we're gonna add a performance on Sunday. And I was like, no good way I'm doing that.
It was a long show.
Yeah, it was a long show. But we all went along with it. And then I thought that was it. I think a lot of us probably thought that was it. But I really wanted my friends and family who couldn't make it to see it. And I think that's really where that all started, was they filmed it, you guys had filmed it so that we could share it with other people that we knew, because they couldn't, not everyone can show up to Ann Arbor one weekend out of the year when it's all sold out. And so that's all we really wanted out of it, was just to like have a record of it and show it to people and see how much fun we had. And then when other people started watching it, I was just like completely surprised.
And it was made clear to us that it was put on YouTube because Matt didn't want to buy a DVD burner.
Yes. Yeah. Matt very explicitly said, like, to burn a DVD copy of the show for every cast member and then send it to them would be too cumbersome. So we'll use this newfangled internet contraption. And at the time, you could only upload YouTube videos that were in full frame format, so square format, almost square, and then they had a 10-minute video length on YouTube at the time, which is why it's uploaded in so many parts. So yeah, it's funny to think about that. And it's still like that. No. So that's kind of why it all went out there. But it was very exciting to see the reaction it got the first week. I was working at an ice cream store in Hollywood, right on Hollywood Boulevard, and boy, did I feel great. I still came home every night with like marshmallow up to my elbows, but I felt pretty great knowing that the Harry Potter show was getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, I remember that summer I was working as a hostess at a restaurant in New York that was very fancy. I couldn't afford to order even an appetizer there, but they had a computer at the host stand and a stool, and I sat on the stool and I remember watching it and being like, whoa, this has like 2,000 views, and that was huge. And then it suddenly had like 10,000 views, and I just was like, it was a really surreal moment to like all be a part across the country and like watch other people discover this. And then, I don't know if you guys remember this, or if any of you remember this, but Facebook was like the only real social media outlet there was, and so people just started friend requesting us and tagging us in literally so many wonderful pieces of fan art, but it got to the point where it was like, I would go into my Facebook and I'd have to sort through like thousands of just like animated, like fan art pictures of me before I got to a real photo, and like friending all these people. And we were like, we never knew how to handle any of this, so we were just like, sure, we'll be friends with everyone, and we'll just let people tag. And our Facebooks very quickly just became like a dumping ground for anything related to the show.
In fact, is there anyone in the audience who has been a sleeper agent in our Facebook accounts, who we don't know personally in real life, but because we friended you in 2009, you're still there?
Anyone?
All right, everyone. All right.
Tessa's been playing the long game.
Yeah, she's when her cell gets activated. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, I have a question, a follow-up to that.
Okay, then you can sit in the audience to ask.
I wasn't around when this was happening, the first show, and when it was put on YouTube, but I feel like I remember hearing after the fact, like there was some help in spreading the word.
Yeah, from a lot of the folks who are here. There was Muggle, was it Muggle Watch? Well, it was LeakyCulture.net and then MuggleCast, right? MuggleNet.com. That was it. Yeah, and our friend Stepien Anderson, who had the rock band Tonks and the Orders. Yeah, at the time, like the main thing was Wizard Rock, and that was like we were kind of like adjacent to that world and kind of like adding to that world a bit. So like all of the friends that we had that were in the Wizard Rock world kind of helped to spread the word of our show throughout the community that already existed. Thank you. You're welcome. And your name was, young man?
You're Ann?
Find us on Facebook. A quick little fun thing about that. So, do you guys know Lena Gabrielle? So she's a wizard rocker who's been to LeakyCon, and she also is a pretty talented music director and has worked on Six, on the West End and the tour, and she just music directed a show that I did in New York, and it was a complete coincidence, and literally there's a photo of us that I pulled up. She came to Ann Arbor to the Basement Arts original Harry Potter musical, and like we took a photo as she was a fan of the show, but like from the University of Michigan production, and now 15 years later, we worked on a show together off Broadway. It was insane. Complete coincidence though. And she's so talented. Obviously, you know her music. She's a phenomenal singer and musician, so crazy small world.
Now, you mentioned you used to get sent fan art. I may have made some. What is the weirdest fan art you've ever seen?
Oh no.
Wait, there was some event. Does that help, guys?
No.
I mean, I'm gonna say here now I've made it a joke.
Like some show on tour where like something bad was sent, like a razor blade was in the candy or something weird like that.
Yes. That
Talk about it.
I mean, we can. Yeah. I mean,
I've got one.
It was a razor blade. Yes.
That's not art.
that's fan art.
Not fan art. No art.
But that's like performance. Yeah. Please don't do that to us or anyone.
That's a performance art.
Yeah. Mare, do you recall any fan arts?
No, but people have started drawing our dog Luna, and I really like that. If
Luna's
you want
getting
to make me
some applause.
so happy, that's all you gotta do. Draw my dog.
Actually, I have a funny fan art story. It's not weird, actually. It's quite sweet. So when we did Starship, remember we premiered it in a couple places around the country, and Jaime and I, Corey, you were there, right?
In New York,
Yeah. And I think Lauren was there, and we did it at this theater I used to work at, do shows at called The Pit, People's Improv Theater, and somebody took a still from that event and like oil painted it. They like oil painted us like at the event doing it, and then when I was doing like solo shows, someone brought it and gave it to me, and I left it in that theater for like 2 years until eventually they just hung it up on the wall. Well, that theater shut down now, so it's gone. But yeah, so like when I left New York, I left it, and they kept trying to give it to me and be like, we don't want this, and I just kept leaving in the dressing room until eventually they gave up and hung it on the wall.
I will say, I don't know, so we've definitely seen some weird fan fiction before, and there's one or two in particular that 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 somehow crossed our paths, and it probably wasn't meant to. It was like off Tumblr, you know, and just stuff that made us chuckle, like all of us fighting for like another person's love, lots of comas, you know, that sort of thing. So that's always a fun sort of thing to come across.
One of my favorite things that I used to visit all of the time secretly that is so funny is StarKid Confessions.
Yeah.
It was such a great
Could be
early
hurtful.
2000s meme, but it was
Could
just
be
like
hurtful.
people being like making funny like assumptions about us that are like in context so far reaching, and it always reminded me of, do you know like Jimmy Fallon reads mean tweets? I think I even pitched this once. I was like, can we pull up StarKid Confessions and reread them and like make a video of it? But it kind of died. But those are so silly. I mean, they're all so like lighthearted, but like super like weird like things of like, I have a crazy confession. Like, go check it out. I'm not even gonna try and quote it. It's real fun.
It's so wild sitting here, because I think I may have posted on that page.
It's great. I love it.
And it's just come flooding back to me like flashbacks from a war. And I do not feel good about it.
Internet.
What do you think about like the musicals and the stuff that you guys do has resonated most with your fans?
I think that, and feel free to cut me off if you want. I know I've already talked probably more than my limit already. I think the thing that really resonates with audiences is the camaraderie that they see amongst us, because I do feel confident in saying that we're not like the most skilled musical theater performers in the world, you know, but I do think that there is like a pretty large amount of like charisma amongst our group that is that we at least have a lot of fun with, and I think that does resonate with the audience as well. Anyone else want to contradict? Add on?
I think that we're all pretty funny.
And I think that helps.
But I would add to that and say we make each other laugh. And
Because we're funny.
Because we're funny.
Yes, make no
We're funny
mistakes.
with each other, and that's part of what Brian was saying about us being friends. I think it's a very unique theater group in that sense, where it's like a recurring cast of characters is sort of baked into the recipe.
So if we're in the room now. We are coming up for the new StarKid show. How does that show conception into rehearsal process? What does that look like?
For any show or for like our shows?
Oh, for your shows. So yeah, for StarKid show.
So I think for the most part, Nick and Matt Lang have been sort of the brain trust of the creative force behind a lot of the StarKid shows.
Yeah, they're the head.
Yeah. With the notable exception being our Christmas Carol show, which was completely written by Clark. Yeah. And so I think it usually starts with them torturing themselves to write something for a while and telling us about how torturous it is to write. And I don't know, it's been a while since I've actually been in a show. Corey, Jamie's.
I'm sorry, can you say your question again? I'm sorry.
Corey wasn't listening.
What was it?
How do StarKid shows get written?
Where do baby StarKid shows come?
Yeah,
How like the conception to like idea to
Like stage? Like what's the
Let's
process?
just go down the list. So, where did the Harry Potter one come from? Who came up with Harry Potter? Well, let's
J.K. Rowling.
who came up with the Harry Potter like the jokes? That was all like a melange of jokes from
It was kind of
together.
basically kind of from like living together and hanging out. Like Nick and Matt and Eric had a bunch of jokes about our friend Eric Conyell had a bunch of jokes about Harry Potter, and then we were living together in Los Angeles, and Matt really wanted to direct this Harry Potter musical, and so we kind of started writing it. I was living with Nick at the time, and I was writing it with Nick while Matt was in Ann Arbor.
So that takes care of Harry Potter and the sequels, because once
Yeah.
you do one, you gotta just just keep doing them.
Right.
Me and my dick. That was a story about Eric. This is how it was told to me, that it was a story about Eric Coнгale.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
So that's that one. So it was sort of like making fun of Eric, I guess. Is the idea.
Yeah.
And then what was next? The next Harry Potter sequel. Next.
Yeah. And then Starship.
Starship was an idea that was mine, where I saw some show, and I've always been very into Starship Troopers. It was like, wouldn't it be funny if bugs danced? That was the whole idea. It would be funny if the bugs were dancing. So then, that was the idea, and then Darren was getting famous, and Darren and I had always, it was sort of like a Darren and I joke, and then we were like, we better make Starship so that we can get Darren before he gets too famous for us. Yeah. And that's how that went.
And we.
So then, what was the next show?
After that, it was Holy Musical Batman. Yeah.
It was just like, that's an old Lang idea, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't write that one.
I think that one, because I've heard that because the chorus used to go, and he's catching those crooks with his grappling hook.
Oh, yeah.
He's here to save the day.
Yeah.
It's Holy Musical Batman, or something like that. So it was a different, so that was
good.
the old version. But that's an old Lang idea, I believe. So Nick and Matt. What was the next show? Huh? We're
Yeah,
almost
it was
done.
Twisted.
Twisted. I think that
My personal favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got to Twisted.
We don't need to go through every single. There's been 15 musicals, and it's usually the answer is usually just, wouldn't it be funny if blank danced?
You basically do what Pixar do.
Wouldn't it be funny if Voldemort danced? Wouldn't it be funny if a penis danced?
And Joe played both of those. So.
Wouldn't it be funny if Umbridge danced?
I mean,
You remember that
Joe
time?
Maybe he'll dance again.
like Nick and Matt got into horror shit, and that's
Yeah, I mean, Nick's dad was a big horror film person, I think, right? Who knows more than me, but he's talked about it. And he said,
It was definitely scary. So it was definitely scary.
Yeah. But he's just from that wanted to make horror comedy musicals, and so they conceived the whole Hatchetfield series. And then the Police was the first show they didn't write that, but that was the first one they conceived, and they knew there needed to be 2 shows previous to that. So.
Wouldn't it be fun if zombies danced?
I can confirm it was.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Do any of you have like a particularly embarrassing onstage memory?
got a nosebleed on stage during one of the Space Tour shows. It was a little embarrassing.
That was embarrassing. Yeah, some of the tour shows, some stuff definitely happened on tours that was embarrassing. We were tired, and pretty green, and so there was all that.
To this day, I don't know who it was, but during Potter senior year, we all had to leave our mics on forever because there was too many people.
Yes.
And somebody just straight up went to the bathroom with their mic on.
There was multiple people. Big toilet flush right in the middle of the show.
It was 5 hours.
Let's see. Meredith, what have you done that was embarrassing, Meredith?
Brian's trying to include me in the panel more because I get shy. I haven't done anything too embarrassing, but I do things embarrassing all the time. But in Philadelphia, I got yelled at a couple times by just like vendors and people and the security guard. And it just was like in like week 5 of the tour, and I was starting to get pretty homesick. And I burst into tears and couldn't stop crying for 3 hours. And I was like crying backstage. I was like, I can't stop. I can't stop. And it was like, what was our first song in Apocalypse?
Before the boys come home?
No, in Apocalypse Tour.
I'm gonna be ready to go.
Ready to go.
Or
Me and my dick.
I had that monk.
it was me and my team. That's right.
Yes, and I was squatting in.
You're in StarKid now.
Is that easy? Gosh darn it!
It's basically just
That's
trivia.
how it worked with.
Nice one. Yeah.
That's pretty much the end of my story. So I was crying in the tent, and then I wiped tears away and came out and went, "Thankful day, my day." With this monkey in my arms, I'm really trying to stop crying.
Meredith, I remember, I think this actually happened. I remember for Harry Potter senior year, in the song This Is the End, you told Joey, I think, that before the last This Is the End, everyone was gonna do a big snort. You don't remember this? Yeah, you were supposed to go, this is the end, this is the end, this is the end, this is the end. Yeah, but then he did it.
Wait, at the show, the live recording, or?
I think so. I mean, I don't think it made it into the final edit.
Have we done any other pranks?
I don't know. Why are you looking at me?
This wasn't really a prank, but there was a moment during Firebringer when one of our castmates had to leave the stage. They like kind of weren't feeling well and had to like sit down or something for a second. And we were facing I think you or Lauren, someone who was talking at the time. So most people on stage didn't realize that they had left. And I was the only one who realized it. And they had a cue line, and I decided to do their cue line. But then I kind of just kept going. I just kept going. And everyone was like, while everyone was figuring out like what was wrong, they're like, wait, this sounds right, but we know it's wrong. I just kept monologuing until someone, I think it was like an interruption or something, and I was waiting for someone to interrupt me. And so I went on for quite some time before they did.
There was the time Jeff Blim threw up on stage.
Oh yeah, did that happen?
After the guy did like,
yeah.
So Jeff was sitting, I forgot what happened, but he was like half dead or something. And
because he's playing a zombie.
He's playing a zombie, and at this point he was dead. He comes back alive later, but he's on the chair, and honestly, just out of nowhere, just. And got up because he's supposed to be a zombie.
Yep. I was tied up my heart. I literally walked. Oh my god.
And the scene is like 20 minutes long, and all of us on stage are trying not to break it. So I tried. Me and Lauren Lopez were just like, anytime we started to break, we just turn up stage like there was something on the wall that we wanted to do. It was a 20-minute scene trying not to break.
He literally he was sitting in the chair pretending to be passed out, and he suddenly felt the need to hurl. And it was the scene where he's like, I guess Professor Hitchens is talking, and Emma are talking, and he's just supposed to be a dead body on stage. And he got up, and did his zombie walk, which, like, as an actor, like, the fact that in his sickness he committed to, like, I am a zombie. But the worst part that literally just came back to me is it was silent, and then you heard the puke hit the floor. But, like, you didn't see it, but it was, like, backstage, you just heard, like, a and it really chills me to the bone to this day. I walked it out. And then there was a cleanup that had to happen in between acts. It's awful. But what an actor.
That really brings a whole new meaning to the show must go on. Puke hits the floor. Okay, we're doing this. Do you ever watch any of the shows back or like clips of the shows back? Because obviously I'm sure we all know the Firebringer meme. I probably watch that about 3 times a week because it's hilarious and I really don't want to do the work today. Is there any bits that you watch back and you're like, good times?
I listen to the soundtracks pretty regularly. Yeah. I mean, not all of them.
So why don't you
I'll tell you, I listen to Annie a lot. Sorry, what did you say?
Never mind, nothing.
She said, so why don't you know the lyrics?
Because because I only listen to Oregon.
Annie too. Annie's a great. Don't sleep on
The
Annie.
soundtrack is probably the best soundtrack. But what soundtracks do you listen to, Joe? That's an interesting answer.
Rank them.
I listen to Annie, probably the most. I listen to Batman, probably the second most. I find myself listening to the third Harry Potter soundtrack from time to time. Oh wait, no, but before that is Twisted. Harry Potter. And then the rest all rank equally, I think.
Wow. Meredith, I'm sitting right next to
No
you.
offense.
She wrote all the music for Firebreaker.
But they're all fantastic. I'm just saying that those are the ones. That's it. You asked.
Let's go down the line. Sorry, me. I like Black Friday. I think that's my favorite soundtrack. The reprise for what was Jeff's reprise in that? Something amazing. Either way, it's my favorite. I haven't seen the title in a long time, but yeah, it's my favorite soundtrack.
Mine is Me and My Dick. Specifically the opening of Act 2, because it's all those horns going. It's so good. I said this to somebody earlier. I was like, we gotta get more horns. Like just a saxophone. Oh, what's your saxophone?
I have to say, I've requested multiple times to sing Land of the Dicks at one of these things.
Yeah.
Has not happened yet.
In general, I think Me and My Dick is underrepresented.
It's underrepresented and over embarrassing. So I think
Yeah, wait. The answer to that embarrassing question was, I think probably there was this one embarrassing time where I did a show.
where we did a
called-
show for 2.5 hours. Yeah.
I think the thing that Me and My Dick needs is more vagina. Because we get the dick perspective, but we don't get.
That sounds like a
It's the
different
sequel.
I'm just saying.
What if vaginas could dance?
We're
It's
back.
called cats.
Yeah, I don't think I listen to soundtracks very often.
Okay.
I will say, I find myself surprisingly listening, like I don't realize that I'm singing it, and then I'm singing like a song from Starship. It's actually the songs that pop back in my head all the time in everyday circumstances. I think it's probably Starship that has drilled the deepest in my brain. Woo! Yeah. A huge reaction from the audience.
I love listening to Firebringer, and anytime I hear something from StarKid Homecoming, I like hearing the orchestrations because in rehearsal and performance, it was all such a blur. I could not really appreciate all the different parts that were going on in that orchestra. So I'm still really blown away by just those arrangements that I had no part in creating. But yeah,
Except for the songs you wrote.
yes.
Another one for going down the line. Do any of you have a particularly favourite character that you've played in one of the StarKid shows?
Well, I did love playing Lupin. That was I think that kind of answers my embarrassing question. Like my characters were always just really embarrassing. Like Lupin is naked, covered in blood, and like I played a whole character called Smelly Balls. So yeah, that's sort of my answer. Yeah.
I don't know. I think. Go on. I liked. It was a relatively small part, but I thought that Ahmed was such a funny. All of my characters are basically the same. They are pompous fools, but Ahmed was such a homicidal, pompous fool, which again is actually what most of them are. Anyway, let's just say Ahmed next.
I I think Jacob Marley's my favorite character. When I heard Clark was writing this, I wrote to him and said, could I please play Jacob Marley? So that's why I got that part. I just asked for it. I wanted it. Because that's one of my family's favorite books, and we love the George C. Scott movie. And my brother and I love specifically the guy who plays Jacob Marley in the George C. Scott movie. We like try to quote him all the time. So I'm channeling his energy in that character. And that's also my favorite soundtrack.
I have to say, definitely for me, the show where I played a penis and had giant balloons tied to my feet as balls. No, I'm just kidding. Mr. Tallywhacker was, that's his name. I'm kidding. I think my favorite role was Grandpa from Transformers. I just fell into that role really easily, but also I didn't realize how popular he was to you guys until the character that gets mentioned the most to me is Grandpa. So, yeah, it's a special place in my heart.
Definitely Ursula for me, or the Sea Witch. I mean, I got to wear a beanbag on my body and paint my face purple and talk in like 2 octaves lower than my voice. It was great. That was great. And such departure from Jennings. I also did have a moment when you said that you played Smelly Balls, and I was like, if nobody knew our body of work, they'd be like, oh, that's a character for me and my dick. But no.
I actually thought it was for me and my dick. What is that character from?
That's from Firebird. Yeah, that's my caveman persona.
So yeah, not to be too cliche, but it probably has to be the snake for me. It was just the most. It's like being a court jester when you're Snake. You just put on the wig and you can say and do whatever you want. No one can get mad at you.
It's kind of like being a lawyer.
It's the exact opposite of being a lawyer.
My favorite role was Clark in Firebringer. Just spoke to me on a deep level.
What was the audition process like for that?
It was grueling. Weeks and weeks of callbacks, and I had to really fight for the role.
A lot of other young Hollywood guys were up for it, like DiCaprio and
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire. Firebringer was made in 2001.
Yes.
I lost it at Tobey Maguire. I was like, oh, where is this going? If you were to go back into the parody world of musicals, is there a particular franchise that you would parody now? Because I'm gonna do my elevator pitch right here. I want to see StarKid Bridgerton. So bad. And the first time I ever watched Bridgerton, I was like, if StarKid don't parody this,
Yeah.
I will be devastated.
I think Clark and Meredith would be a perfect team for a Bridgerton style musical. Meredith was trying to get Clark to work on a Jane Austen story. We'll
So I'm like part of the way there.
Yeah. Good parodies for, well, I mean, it's funny, we do, over the years we've gotten lots of suggestions of properties to parody, like Avatar The Last Airbender, or like Percy Jackson, or something like that, but I don't know, I can't really think of, I think Bridgerton is a good one, because it's like, it's gotta be something that takes itself, that isn't like an inherent sort of comedy. It needs to be kind of, what was great about Harry Potter is it was beloved, but there were so many question marks about it, like, in particular with the Goblet of Fire thing, which is kind of the inspiration for the first show. It's like, why do that at all? Like it's such a nonsense idea for a way to try and kill someone. It's so much more work than you would need to do probably. And so even though the whole series is beloved, like it has these kind of dumb things about it, and you can say that from a position of loving it, where everyone can laugh at it. So that's kind of a hard combo to get to, I think, for a parody. Disney has a lot of stuff like that. Star Wars has a lot of stuff like that, and that's why we did all those sorts of parodies. Batman, you know, is kind of, it's just a funny idea that a guy is so distraught over a tragedy in his childhood that he uses his immense wealth to just like try and physically hurt people instead of like creating more good in the world through his infinite wealth that he portrayed in the complex. He instead makes like a car that is so dangerous that it's insane.
Just beats up fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Like most of his job. I mean, I bailed on a show that was sort of in the Indiana Jones universe. Not technically in the way that we use the term universe now, but sort of the Indiana Jones spirit. I think that there's something there, but Indiana Jones doesn't have those like there's nothing stupid about Indiana Jones. He's just a college professor who, you know, goes on wild adventures looking for biblical items that melt people's faces.
Nothing done there.
So that's my answer.
I still think there's room for Doctor Who. Especially now that it's back in like a really big way. It's sort of, you know, being rebooted again.
You could do like 6, but it's all the Doctors.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But do you think that do you think that Doctor Who is already too funny? Because it is pretty funny at times, isn't it?
It has jokes, certainly, and can do a lot of funny stuff, but it is not a parody. I think it is distinctly sincere in most of what it does, and that's where I think it's enough where you could, and a lot of it is pure nonsense.
It does not make sense.
Yeah. So there's a lot of room to play with that, I think. But I see what you're saying. It's like, it does not take itself super seriously all the time. But there certainly are like sincere, serious moments that I think our musicals had those too. They had some real, you know, sincere moments. But you could do a lot with the silliness of the stuff that doesn't make sense, because like every episode doesn't make sense in some way.
Maybe Frog and Toad.
Yeah.
Frog and Toad was like a beloved children's book.
Oh, I was never a child.
Maybe like a series of short Frog and Toad. Like,
Really short musicals.
like a single Frog and Toad musical once every so often, like Frog and Toad, like rob a bank.
I kind of want to see a really serious play with Bert and Ernie as roommates. A serious, strong.
Angels in America. But
Angels in America with Bert and Ernie. Yeah. But like, I feel like there's like a irony in that would be funny. But if you do it really serious, it could win a Pulitzer.
Or like, did anybody ever adapt Animal Farm into a play? So this is like a whole joke that we have. I don't know. I'm saying we have it. This is probably just exists in my head. But it's like a series of StarKid plays that we just play them totally straight. Where it's like, Animal Farm.
Communism, but pigs.
Right.
Am I wrong? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like a communism. It's like a commentary on economic theory.
It's an allegory.
It's an allegory. Thank you. So I don't know if they ever did a play version of that, but it would be fun if we did it dead serious, but we were wearing farm. And that was it. And it was like, and you walked away and you're like, I hated that. That's an idea.
I don't think I hate it. I think honestly the level of obsession I've got with StarKid musicals, I would watch it and be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I think you guys could read me my groceries. And I'd be like, oh my god, we did it!
We've been surviving on that for years.
No, Wilkin. Obviously, I want to take a minute to talk to you all because you've all done such great things outside of StarKid as well. You've all had like amazing careers. And just if you'd had any highlights outside of that you'd like to share with the group.
Nope.
These are career highlights? Yeah, no.
I did. Oh, go.
You, please, Meredith.
Please, Clark.
No.
At the same time.
I wrote this song about a goose walking on different planetary surfaces, and it just was really funny and stupid. It might be my best song.
Well, I'll say this. I think it feels like a little unnatural for us to hype our own stuff up. So let's hype each other's stuff up. So, for instance,
That's great. Do you want to take the rest of this panel?
Yeah. So, like, Meredith, you've been vlogging for like 4 years now. You have a vlog channel, which is celebrated and loved. Clark has been writing so much great music for the past few years, including for Professor Birthday, which Jaime is featured on. Oh yeah, I'm in it too. Yeah. So our friend Eric Congale has this is like a multimedia type project now, but he has a character called Professor Birthday. The inspiration is like there's a holiday mascot for every other holiday except one of the most important holidays of the year, your own birthday. So he came up with this idea for Professor Birthday. The issue is Professor Birthday feels underappreciated because no one across the world celebrates Professor Birthday. And so he came up with a book, and it's an audiobook, and it's a podcast where Jaime plays Professor Birthday, Clark has written songs, I play Professor Birthday's assistant at Birthday University, and we are making a podcast to let the world know about Professor Birthday.
What was Clark gonna say?
I was going to talk about Professor Birthday too. It's also on TikTok, if you've heard of TikTok. I think if you search Professor Birthday, you'll find it, because it's had its own life on TikTok with these great animations.
Eric's wife Jade, our friend, animates it. It's like a family. It truly is like so many people coming together to create something. And it's the book. Eric's book is brilliant, and as fans of fantasy books, we recommend you read Professor Birthday as a famous book because it's a whole universe of a magical world.
Well, but it's non-fiction though, right?
Yeah.
Professor Birthday's root.
Jaime's writing a musical called No. Oh no, it's Axed. What's happening? I want to know what's happening. I did a reading for it. She wrote a musical called Feast of Rabbits.
Yeah.
What?
We're still working on it. The title is being worked on, but it's about a woman who gave birth to rabbits. Based on a true story.
I'll say Brian is a very accomplished audiobook narrator. Developing his craft, his silky, smooth Michigan voice.
Yes.
At all times.
Well, I wish I was silky smooth. Since they are going to be doing Romance Con next from Mischief Management, they have another convention coming up in the fall. I once tried to narrate a romance novel, and it was like there's different types of romance novels. This one was like the archetype for the male character was like big, like Italian real estate guy from New York, and somehow in the audition I got the role, and the review was loved the female narrator, couldn't stand the male narrator. He sounded like a prepubescent boy struggling with like like something or other. It was like a scathing review, and I've been narrating middle grade novels ever since. I was like, prepubescent, Now that gives me an idea.
How many books have you narrated, Brian?
I've narrated over 100 books. Yeah. Thanks.
What's your favorite title of the book that you've narrated that we can listen to?
Well, I've actually narrated like 4 or 5 books about farts. Or that are like sort of fart or scatological humor based. I narrated one nonfiction book that was called Will Holding in a Fart Kill You? And it was like, this is the weirdest thing, it was like the rumors are not true. They used to think that it would kill you, so in Victorian times, they would just let him rip. Like, if they were at a ball or anything, they were just farting it up. And they would do all sorts of disgusting stuff there. Like, they would just, like, walk over to the side of the room and, like, piss in a bowl. And so like, farting out in the open was, like, not a big deal to them, I think.
You should bring that back.
I mean, we're trying. We're trying in this group.
Question about how would you explain to a Victorian child?
Yeah, we're full circle.
We were just let out of fart.
Yeah, I tell you, well, first of all,
Farting the whole time?
so, all right, there is a book series. You probably can't read, right? Victorian Orphan? No. Yeah.
Those idiots.
When they asked me, they were like, do you want to do the StarKid panel? This is not at all where I saw it.
All right, well then let us ask you with our
Oh, no, I'm happy about
minutes
it.
that are left. What were your biggest hopes and dreams for this panel?
I'm going to cry in front of all of these people. No. I honestly, as I'm sure many of you can attest to, grew up watching. I was 10 when your first musical came out.
Us too.
And now I'm 12. Still 12 if you ask TikTok. I once got pulled over by a police officer listening to the Twisted soundtrack. I was
The
listening.
cop was?
No, I was. He pulled me over because I'd got my hood up and it was 3 a.m. I must have looked like a drug dealer. And he pulled me over and I was listening to He Fucked a Tiger. And he tapped on the window and he went, oh honey, you're good. And I drove away. It's part of so much of my life, it's weird.
Holden is super excited about musical theater. All right, go ahead.
But honestly, it's just the biggest pleasure to have been able to talk to you. Thank you guys so much. I've got one final question for you. As it is the last LeakyCon, and I think most of you have been to LeakyCon before, I just wondered if any of you have got a particular LeakyCon memory that you wanted to share with everyone. Seeing as this is like a really nice wake for LeakyCon, before we cremate it into each other.
So, Brian, we gotta talk about it. Come on, dude.
All right, well, so we were talking about some of the early LeakyCons that we went to, and those in particular were ones where I would maybe drink way too much and embarrass myself and shout things at inappropriate times during the charity balls that were happening back then. Yeah, it's a groan from the audience, and it should be. But, so those private memories, Joe, aside, we have, I mean, the thing we've been doing most since we've been here is trying to be like, was that Leaky Portland in 2013, or was it the Leaky in Orlando in 2015?
Yeah, which one was Clarking? Does anyone remember Clarking? Yes, because all of you started participating and using the hashtag Clarking.
We just have so many good memories, and since they all take place in hotels and convention centers, we can never really identify the cities that we've been in. But we have like such wonderful memories from participating in LeakyCon over the years. It's been kind of like a second home in a way, where it's like we get together to do the shows, we get together for concerts, and then like LeakyCon is the other really big thing that we do. We've done so many things here.
Yeah, it really serves as a reunion for us in a lot of ways, because we don't all live in the same place, so we get to come together and hang out for a few days together, but with all of you. My favorite memory probably is doing a Harry Potter senior year in 2012, because that was such a big group of us.
Yeah.
And it was really hard and stressful to put it all together, but I do remember that night, it was like such a great feeling of relief and also accomplishment and just having the best time.
Well, thank you guys so much.